Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the moods, safety and emotional well-being of those of you who have your moon located within your 12th house within your natal birth chart, but also for those of you who have the sign of Cancer ruling your 12th house within your birth chart as well. But before we do get into this, make sure that you give this video a like if you like it. Also make sure to subscribe if you have not already and to click that little bell icon in order to keep yourself updated with further content from myself. And one more quick thing to mention, if you would like to know more information all about your moon sign, your moon house, along with your Cancer house and your 4th house within your birth chart, then I have created a Cancer season/archetype ebook. So what I am going to do is I'm going to provide a link to that ebook in the description box below so that you can pick up your copy today if you would like. Okay, so with all those introductions out of the way, Moon in the 12th house and Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, let's do this. Okay, so if you have your moon within your 12th house or Cancer ruling your 12th house within your birth chart, then what this suggests is that you're someone who deeply needs your time in solitude in order to renew yourself, in order to revitalize yourself. See, you might be the type of person who absorbs all of the emotions and all of the stimuli going on from within others and from within your surroundings. But it's these same energies that you can pick up that can sort of confuse you or have you feeling out of sync, out of touch with how you truly feel. So for example, you might pick up on how Jenny is sad today, or how Simon is really angry with his girlfriend today, or how Beth is so excited and so amped up about an event that she's going to later. And as you're taking in all of these different emotions and these energies, it's all happening all at once. And so as it's all happening, maybe you start shifting and changing your own emotions in order to merge with these other people, or in order to cater towards these other people's needs. You almost start mirroring these emotions back to other people as a form of empathy, as a form of compassion. Though also it could be suggested that you do this perhaps as a way to even protect yourself. But whilst all of this is going on, you might drift further and further away from how you're actually feeling emotionally. And so therefore, this is why you need your time away from other people, away from the public, because it's you, Moon in the 12th house, Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, who can become so completely overwhelmed and consumed by it all. Heck, someone you know might ask you about how you're feeling, and you might turn around to them and say something like, I don't know, I'm good, I think. Or you might say that you're doing well, that you are doing okay, because you can't quite find the words to explain how you're feeling in a way that makes sense. Then again, perhaps you find it so difficult to identify with particular emotions altogether because of how deeply you feel inside, or because defining emotions isn't exactly a straightforward or easy thing for you. And it could also be suggested here that your emotions, they just change so rapidly, so chaotically sometimes, that you find it really, really hard to keep up. Or quite possibly, the way that you let out your emotions is more so explained through the likes of art, music, poetry, for example. Or maybe these types of avenues, they feel safer these outlets, they feel safer for you rather than you having to verbally explain how you're feeling to other people. Though on the other hand, perhaps you can just be a highly private individual, someone who would much rather prefer it if your emotions were kept to yourself, or maybe you prefer to let out your emotions and your moods whilst you, like I said, you are alone. So whilst you are alone, you might, for example, listen to a very heartfelt song and then just cry, or you might write within your journal, or you might watch a movie that gets you yelling at the screen. But essentially, Moon in the 12th house, Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, you might be the types of people who let out your emotions behind the scenes, and perhaps you feel much more safe and much more protected and secure by doing so. Which, by the way, you might also be very insightful when you are left to your own devices. So, for example, you might connect with parts of yourself by going internal or by diving deep, or you might discover what it is that that truly moves you when you are alone, or quite possibly by you tuning into the likes of music or art, etc. You really do end up feeling very, very inspired. Though keeping in mind here that it's these things that can come in waves, they're not stagnant, meaning that your moods very much steer your inspirational ship, so to speak. So what once moved you yesterday might not move you the same the next day, or what once got you feeling excited might start to feel dull and boring after a little while. It all really depends on how you're feeling and also on how you're being impacted by other people's emotions and feelings, as previously mentioned. You might even be the type of person, for example, who cancels plans with your friends because you're simply not feeling it anymore, or because you simply just can't handle today at all. It's like, sorry guys, I'm shutting myself away. I do not want to deal with life. Which, following on from this point as well, you might struggle to deal with your daily life overall, especially if you can become overwhelmed by certain commitments or responsibilities that you may have agreed to. But at the same time, however, I will say that you might also have fear of hurting other people, people's feelings. And so what this may result in is you struggling to tell other people that, hey, you can't make that certain event, or hey, you can't perform that certain task anymore that you once agreed to. Therefore, you might have the tendency of taking on so much for others, resulting in you sort of martyring yourself or sacrificing yourself for other people, further implying that you might sacrifice your own emotional needs for the emotional needs of other people. Now, don't get me wrong, this also shows just how empathetic and how self-serving you can be, but likewise, it also shows how withdrawn and or distant you can be when it comes to your own emotional well-being and your own emotional needs, and also your tendency to hide how you're truly feeling. So with that being said, perhaps for you, Moon in the 12th house, Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, it would be beneficial for you to form boundaries between you and others, or maybe it would be a good idea to develop a bit of a backbone too here. And by developing such things, maybe you'll be able to let others know how you're actually feeling on the inside, such as you saying something like, hey, you know what, I can't make that date, how about we plan a different date? Or, hey, that's not something that I personally feel comfortable with doing, how about we go a different direction or try something new? Basically, I think it would be emotionally beneficial for you to form boundaries, because it's you that can become so easily tangled up in everybody else's emotional baggage and karma, etc., which furthermore, you might act out in volatile or irrational ways if you keep bottling things up or battling with yourself, or if you keep hiding your true feelings on things. Seriously, it might get to a point where you just start lashing out at other people unknowingly. There's absolutely no awareness with it, where you experience mood swing after mood swing, or you might become so overwhelmed by everything where you get to a stage where you say, I'm done. I'm so done. Then again, perhaps you can sometimes fall into some pretty dark places emotionally, where you start to experience anxiety or depression or panic attacks. You might even have trouble sleeping, or you might even have nightmares that keep you up at night. Or maybe there's times whenever you have no other choice than to completely remove yourself from the world because of how it all just becomes too much for you. It could even very well be here that you turn to certain medications or drugs to help you deal with your emotions. Though essentially, I think that you're learning how to get in touch truly with your flow, whilst you make a strong distinction between these people's emotions over here, but then your emotions within yourself. Though another thing that I want to mention is that you might feel a very, very strong karmic or spiritual bond with your mother. Maybe for as long as you can remember, you've felt a deep connection or emotional pull towards your mother. Or perhaps you've tapped into her pain and her suffering, for example, or quite possibly you've often martyred yourself to merge with your mother, as another example. Though another possibility could be that the safety of your mother has always concerned you, and it stays with you wherever you go, even if you might not have the best relationship with your mother. Maybe for some of you, your mother was absent or distant from your life, or maybe for others of you, you possess deep sorrow or sadness over the loss or disappearance of your mother. It could even quite possibly be that your mother has struggled with mental health issues for a lot of her life, or that she's been in and out of hospital quite a bit. Though on the other hand, maybe you've just always felt this attachment to the past or to your ancestry. Perhaps you're very drawn to these people and their history, or maybe you possess the same spiritual principles or values as your mother or as your family or your ancestry. And in terms of your own spiritual practices, perhaps you prefer spiritual practices that get you tapping into your emotions and your feelings, such as the likes of praying, meditating, yoga, tarot even is another one. Or maybe you're someone who is comfortable with just diving into your inner world in order to really see what messages or insights come up. Or perhaps you feel that you possess a very strong spiritual or psychic gift, and it's this gift that you might have inherited from your mother or from your ancestors. Which, by the way, it could even very well be that you're very, very good at reading between people's emotions and feelings. So even though, like I said, you might absorb other people's emotions, well, you might also often see through other people's emotions and their false narratives. Though I also think here that it could very well be that you may have this tendency of not recognizing these things within yourself. So following on from this point in relation to you seeing through people and their false narratives, let's say, for example, that you have a friend and they come to you and they tell you that they're feeling really good. You might see through that and hear something completely different. Or let's say that someone is expressing or showing anger. You might feel into the hidden emotions not being outwardly shown. I mean, it could very well be that that individual is really grieving or they're really hurting on the inside. However, it's these things that, like I said, you might not be overly aware of. And I'm sure that if you were to poke at somebody else's hidden emotions. They might be in a state of denial themselves, or they just might not be overly aware either. Though still, there is a possibility here of you possessing an ability to tap into the unknown, or to tap into the unseen forces that may or may not exist. Which I also want to say here that you may be hypersensitive, like super sensitive in this way. And I think it's your own hypersensitivities that you could actually maybe use as a way to care for or support other people and their own emotional well-being. So this could be you, for example, volunteering or visiting hospitals, or this could be you working with victims or with people who have felt quite helpless or defenseless during some point in their lives. This could even be you joining a certain support group where people are talking about their emotions. Heck, maybe you feel a great sense of compassion for people who feel alone, and so you want to be that person who aids and supports others by showing them that they're not alone. And in terms of your own mother here, kind of what I was saying earlier, maybe she herself was hospitalized whilst you were growing up. Maybe she herself has worked in hospitals, or maybe your mother has struggled a lot with her own emotional well-being. And so in this way, perhaps you have felt inspired by your own mother's experiences to then sort of go forth and support other people through their experiences. However, what I will say to close off this video is that you might have the tendency of deflecting your own emotional needs and your own emotional well-being. You deflect them away from yourself and sort of onto other people. Could be for a number of reasons, but could be possibly due to how confusing your own emotions can be, and so you just want to deny them, or maybe because you're just not even aware of them to begin with, or possibly because that's how you were conditioned or how you were taught growing up. So in this respect, maybe you just weren't raised in a way that showed you how to nurture your own emotions. Nobody really guided you that way or showed you how. Perhaps, again, there was a self-sacrificing process going on where maybe your mother's emotional needs had to be catered for or catered towards rather than your own. So if you think about it, it may be due to years of emotional denial that you sort of get used to being the emotional martyr or the emotional vacuum. But at the same time, you might constantly be seeking this emotional support and reassurance from others, where maybe you can become quite clingy, needy, smothering, overbearing. But yet, it's also these things that you might remain completely oblivious towards. And so therefore, Moon in the 12th house, Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, what you're coming to learn is how to serve over your emotions and your inner world, how to let out your emotions in a healthy way, how to let others know about your feelings, and basically just how to let people in on what's going on with you, rather than you continuously falling victim to other people's emotions, where you feel as if it's your duty, it's your responsibility to deal with everybody's emotional karma. Like I said, you may be very good at doing this all behind the scenes, but as soon as there's other people involved, you may swell up, you may deflect. So it might be a good idea to kind of look at how you can serve over your emotions even whenever you are amongst others. So of course, I also understand that you can be a wonderful healer and you can also be an amazing guiding force for other people as well. Ultimately, however, it is you, Moon in the 12th house, Cancer ruling the 12th house individuals, who can tap into the undercurrents of the collective unconscious. You can be a great source of support and care and healing and wisdom for those who are suffering or for those who feel misguided or lost. And it's you who naturally and intuitively knows how to nurture the emotions of others, especially those who feel as if they have nowhere else to turn. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video on the moods, safety and emotional well-being of those of you who have your moon within the 12th house, but also for those of you who have the sign of Cancer ruling your 12th house within your birth chart. Now, if you happen to have any of these placements, then let us know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button and give this video a like, remember, and I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!